Hi YouTube. So today I'm going to be speaking about the Aries rising. Um, so what is Aries? Aries is a fire sign, and Aries is ruled by Mars, and it is also ruled by the first house, right? Now, what is the first house? The first house is your identity. It is the hi world, what the fuck's up? I'm here. This is my energy. This is my aura. This is what I look like every day. This is how I look when I do things, like when I sleep. This is what I look like. When I eat, this is what I look like. It's like in cartoons. You know, in cartoons, like every cartoon has that one specific outfit that they wear like all the time, like forever, for every episode, right? And that outfit kind of represents who they are. That is basically the first house. And it's also ruled by Mars, right? Now, what is Mars? Mars is your intent, your intentions. So, whatever you intend to do, your passion, and your passion can turn into anger, right? But it can also, on the positive side, it can be passion, but on a more negative side, it can be anger, like deep anger. Well, the deep anger that belongs to Scorpio, but it could also lead there because Aries and Scorpio share that Mars and Pluto energy, okay? And Mars is also how you do things, right? How you like the how you willfully go do things. You know what I'm saying? So if you have an Aries rising, you take Mars. So Aries is home in the first house, right? So Aries is doing its thing. Aries is smoking a blunt, or Aries is like going shopping in the first house. It loves to be in the first house because it's home there, and that's where Aries is like most comfortable. Its exaltation would maybe be in the eighth house, but that's a whole other video. Um, but Aries in the first house people. Aries in the first house people might come across as very angry. They may seem pissed off if you don't know them, right? They may look like people that you don't want to fuck with just because they have this somewhat demeanor of like, listen, I'm ready to fight you at any moment, right? But on a more positive side, they could have a very passionate outlook. Like they may look like someone that's like, oh wow, dude, you're really, geez, like you look like you ready to like build a whole house by yourself type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Because they have so much energy. Aries rising people have so much energy. Now, depending on their sun and moon, depending on their sun and moon, it'll be how they like how this is kind of played out. Depending on their sun and moon, it will be different because their sun and moon is like your sun and your moon is a whole different thing. But for the most part, like if you have an Aries ascendant, then no matter how what your actions are, let's say you're like a Virgo sun and you have your moon in Taurus and you're Aries rising, right? So you're gonna be how people see you first is not at all gonna be what your actions are, because your actions may be a lot more stable and calm and more practical and calculated, right? But how you look doing these things is going to be so passionate and willful, right? People are going to be like, whoa, what the fuck? I did not think you were this kind of person. You know, especially if you have like an earth sign sun, you know, if your actions are more practical, but you have a fiery Aries rising, right? Like it's going to be completely different. So you're going to look like, oh my god, this person is like so willful and they so like passionate, but then your actions are so calculated and precise and precision and not precision but precise, and they're very but yeah, you know what I'm saying. Everything that is earthy, you know, like very practical, very grounded, basically, you know. But anyway, with your Aries rising, your first house is Aries, right? So you appear to be very passionate. You appear to be very intentful. You appear to be somewhat aggressive. You know, you may even come across somewhat intimidating if you have an Aries rising, or you may say, you know, I feel like Aries rising have like childlike faces. Actually, you look like a baby, but sometimes you may do things like even like it could go down to the way you breathe. You know, you may be like, and just like it hit like just how you did that shit. You know, people would be like, wow. Wow, 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 what the fuck? But I feel like you, as Aries rising, you will have a big forehead, yes, but, and you will look like a baby. You will look really young, somewhat, you know. But people are going to feel that passion from you. People are going to feel that, like, um, people are gonna feel that Mars from you when they first meet you, you know. And Aries rising, you're gonna have Taurus in the second house, right? But then again, it also depends because sometimes your planets can overlap each other. So you may have Aries in your first house and your second house. Sometimes Aries in your first and your 12th house, right? But like, this is just speaking specifically to people who don't have overlapping planets, right? So if you have Aries in your first house, right? You have Taurus in the second house, right? So this is where Taurus also rules. If you have Aries in your first house, then you have all your other planets in houses where they are home. So every other house is going to be exactly where, like where it likes to be at, where it's home at, you know. So Taurus is going to be in your second house if you have an Aries rising. So Taurus in your second house, right? Your sense of value, because your second house is your values, like things that you value, things that you have to offer, right? So from the first house, you say, "Oh, I'm here," but now your second house is, "What can what is my sense of self, like my self worth, you know?" And Taurus rules here because in like when Taurus is in your second house, then you value things that need to be valued. So things like money, stability. You value like having somewhat structure in your life. You know, you value knowing what the fuck's gonna go on. You value your sense of value. Like you have a very you're like stable within yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're not chaotic. You're not scattered. You're very like you have a good self-esteem. You know how to make yourself feel good because you value yourself and you value things that you do value. So you may, depending on your second house lord, wherever that is, where that's where your value is going to be directed at. But for the most part, you have a very grounded sense of self, a very grounded sense of identity. Because with that Aries rising, Aries energy is like, listen, I'm gonna fucking do this, and I don't give a fuck who's gonna whoever tries to stop me. I'm gonna ram my way through them and make sure I get to what the fuck I need to get to. That kind of energy. So with Taurus, yeah, that supports that because you like believe in yourself. Like you believe in yourself and you believe that you can do things. So this is the really dope part about having an Aries rising, right? And then in your third house, you have Gemini, right? So Gemini loves to be in the third house because the third house is the house of communicating, how you talk, and your siblings, and like things that you're familiar with. So with an Aries rising, if you have Gemini in your third house, then you are really good at communicating. You may even have really cool siblings that were really cool, that were like really good writers, or you may be a really good writer. But then again, it also depends because it depends on what your Mercury is. This is just generally speaking about like how you have developed in your life. You know, with Gemini in your third house, you may really pick up things quickly, and even having an Aries rising, because Aries risings do pick up the feeling, but the Gemini picks up the thought first, right? But this is the little sextile that they have with one another because they both somewhat do the same thing, just one does it in a fiery way, Mars way, and the other one does it in an air, Mercury way. But if you have Gemini in your third house, then you are really good at writing. You're probably like a fast talker. You talk really quickly, right? You like understand things. You pick things up. Someone might not even finish a sentence, but you just like, pick that shit up, right? And you like automatically like kind of understand where someone is going with that conversation or where they're trying to get. So even with this, you kind of know when someone is manipulating you, or when someone is like trying to get something out of you. Because Gemini is Geminis can, the quickness of a Gemini, they can get into your head, right? Just by how you're expressing yourself and just by the words you used, right? So sometimes people can like beat around the bush and like talk around a situation, but a Gemini, if you have Gemini in the third house, even if you have Gemini Sun, fucking Moon, Mercury, whatever, like you can just kind of pick up like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you may do that too much, or you may do. But anyway, we're not even talking about that right now. If you have Gemini in the third house, you're probably really good at writing. Your siblings are probably really, really funny people, very talkative people. And in your fourth house, you have Cancer. So you probably have a very like emotionally stable home, right? But this is On the negative end of this, see, all of these houses could have negative traits to them, because just because every house with you having an Aries rise, just because every house is in the zodiac, every zodiac is in the house that it rules, doesn't mean that it's going to be all smooth sailing, right? So with an Aries rising, right, you could also be, because you have a great strong sense of self, right? People may not like you because of that. You know what I'm saying? They may think, oh no, they don't want to give you the satisfaction of knowing that you're great. So you may be somebody that's like, you truly know what you're about, right? But just because you carry that energy, and just because you have that passion, and people sense that passion from you, they don't want to give you the satisfaction of being like, oh yeah, that guy could help me out with this thing, or they could probably tell me this, and they could probably show me this, and then that would be dope because they would help me. Some people may not want that because they'll be like, oh, you already have a big head, so I don't want to make it any bigger. And Aries is exalted in the sun, so the Aries ego is like, it's like the Aries energy loves to be in the ego, because the sun is the ego. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let's go back to your fourth house. Your fourth house is Cancer, right? Now, the fourth house rules Cancer. Fourth house is how you feel comfortable, your emotional stability, how you get comfortable, right? It also rules like the kind of house somewhere you live in, and things that make you comfortable, what makes you comfortable. You know what I'm saying? So with Cancer in your what's Cancer in your fourth house, right? You already have this. You grew up in a nurturing home. You probably have a very nurturing mother. Or if you don't have a mother, you grew up with your grandmother and she was very nurturing. Or if you're a foster child, your foster parents were very nurturing people. They always understood your feelings and they nurtured your feelings. And you grew up in the world kind of having your own like sense of like, I know how to make myself feel better, because even if you're not technically at your home, or let's even say your homie is like going to your friend's house, that makes you comfortable, right? Even if you're not there, you have your own sense of like, you have your own sense of stability. You know what I'm saying? You know how to make yourself feel good. You know how to make yourself feel more comfortable. You know, like you already have these innate, like you're an emotional person innately, right? Because this is hidden. Your fourth house is the house. It's a house. It's a watery house, right? So inside of you, nobody knows, because obviously your Aries is fire and is pushing out the emotions, but internally you're actually a very emotional person. You're a very caring person at that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and then you have fifth house. Your fifth house is in Leo, right? So obviously Aries, like I said, Aries rising people are gonna be you're gonna feel that passion, right? And with the fifth house being in Leo, Leo is the fifth house is how you express yourself, right? How you have fun, how you entertain yourself, what you like to entertain, things that you like to be entertained by. So you can be entertained by people, shows, fucking, food, grunting, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But with Leo, because it's home, you're gonna just love expressing just for the sake of expressing. You're gonna feel something, you're gonna want to express that shit. You know what I'm saying? And Aries rising, already being an expressive thing, it's gonna be shown even more, right? Because it's gonna be that little trine, right? It's gonna be a trine from your first house and your fifth house. So like you're gonna already automatically already know how to express yourself, right? But with an Aries rising, like I say, it may come across as like either being too much, or you could be a very chilled Aries risings, right? Aries rising. But I feel like it would be one of those situations where it's like when you're with people that you're comfortable with, then you're like, yo, you go crazy. Like people are like, wait, what? This is you. How, when you express yourself like this? That's wild, because once again, it's like that whole fourth house thing. Once you get comfortable, because you innately know how to make yourself comfortable, but it could also be a thing of you just like peep game. You just peep who you want to be comfortable with, who you want to fuck with, and then once you find those people you want to fuck with, then boom, you express that fifth house. You express that fifth house shit. You know what I'm saying? And then your sixth house is gonna be in Virgo. Now Virgo obviously likes to be because your sixth house is schedules, routines, what you do on a day-to-day basis, things that you do regularly, working out, getting a job, you know what I'm saying? Basically a job, things that you do every day, like nurturing your work. So the fourth house is nurturing your feelings, and then the sixth house is nurturing your work, right? Because the sixth house is also an earth house, right? Along with the second house and the 10th house, which will second house Taurus, 10th house Capricorn, sixth house Virgo. So these are your working houses, your earth houses, right? So your sixth house is going to be Virgo. Also, sixth house rules your habits, right? So with Virgo in your sixth house, then you every day, actually, you probably have you may have whatever routine that you have, you like to do that. Like you whatever works for you will work for you, right? And I feel like with an Aries rising, because Aries rising kind of does, I feel like Aries energy kind of is somewhat flaky, but I feel like for the most part, because you have Virgo in your sixth house, you have like a consistent routine that you do. It may not even be like on the exact same time. Like for example, let's say every day 10 o'clock you decide, okay, I'm gonna meditate, or I don't know, I'm gonna do jumping jacks. So that's your routine. Every day you do jumping jacks, right? But sometimes you may not be exactly at 10 o'clock. You may be like, okay, nah, I'm gonna change it and I'm gonna do it at 11 o'clock, depending on whatever the situation is. You could change like that. But for the most part, you have like a distinct routine on how you do things. Like your how you like set your like how you set your day-to-day goals and shit like that. It's like you have a task. You know what I'm saying? You know how to go about your shit. You have like a calculated plan on how you're gonna like get from point A to point B. And you know the necessary tools to do and tools to have in order to get you there. You know what I'm saying? And now, um, your seventh house, which is going to be Libra, which is opposite your first house. So how you are on your one-on-one relationships, how you are when you're just with that one person, not when you're with a group of people, when you're like with that one person, or your one friend, or it's just you and your friend, and you're walking your friend to the car and you're having that one-on-one conversation, just how you relate to people, or how you relate to even when you're like alone and you're watching a movie and you're like, damn, like that character, I really relate to that person, like I really, and then you start dressing like them just because you watched that one movie, that type of thing. That's the seventh house. So your seventh house, you have Libra. So Libra once again is home in the seventh house, right? So you do this naturally. So when you're with people, you like having those like really you like understanding, like, oh, okay, you came from this background. Oh, okay, that's cool. Like that's really dope. Like I came from this and I understand where you came from, like, oh, okay, you grew up liking these things. Well, I grew up liking these things, so that's really cool. Oh, wow, we have so much in common. Okay, cool. But because you still have an Aries rising, you know how to like you already are your own individual, right? Because that's the thing, like that's your outward appearance. You're an individual, right? And like you know how to like be a grounded person even when you're around other people. So you like know how to relate yourself when it's time to relate yourself to other people, but you also know when you're not with those people, you know how to have your own individual standpoint on things. So that's the really dope part with having an Aries rising. And then your eighth house is Scorpio. Scorpio loves to be a Scorpio. So the eighth house is death, sex, um rebirth, transformation, your desires, things that you want secretly, even your secrets, you know what I'm saying, merging together with people, but emotionally, you know what I'm saying, like that soul connection. So the 11th house is one-on-one connection. How are we connecting? How are we relating our life situations, but with communicating. So you say something, I say something, you say something, I say something. Now we're having a conversation, right? But the minute we include our emotions and we like really dive deep into what's the root cause of who we are, and what drives us, what motivates us, what is the deep motivation, that's when we get into our eighth house. And Scorpio is home in the eighth house. So with Scorpio in your eighth house, Scorpio is like, okay, I said Scorpio is like, okay, but with Scorpio in your eighth house, you're like, okay, swag. You're automatically kind of, once you skip the stage of like getting to know someone from that one-on-one, you know how to merge with people, right? And then this is when you start being like, this is how you choose your friends, and this is how you choose, okay, I fuck with this person because like, yo, we bonded for life, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like Aries rising people really appreciate that, because I feel like Aries rising people don't really have many friends just because they're so intense, and they may come off as, oh my god, like, yo, you too much. But then again, this also depends on your sun and moon, because that could change a whole bunch of things. But like for the most part, if you have an Aries rising, you may come across like, oh my god, you're too much. So once you have this group of people where you're like, okay, I fuck you, I fuck with you, I trust you, we're good. Then people start understanding that, oh my god, like you have very deep, intense emotions, and like because like once again, because Aries has this like immense energy, right? So deep down, their core desires is to be the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because Aries doesn't need anyone to tell them how to do anything. And with Scorpio in your eighth house, you automatically know how to regenerate yourself, how to rebirth yourself in order to get exactly where you need to be, whether it's emotionally, mentally, physically, however, with a job, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know how to like transform your desires, transform yourself in a way that makes you like that gives you more energy to like go up and get the fucking bag, bruh. You know what I'm saying? And then with you have Sagittarius in your ninth house, right? So ninth house is traveling, going overseas, higher education, like spirituality, chakra vibes. You know what I'm saying? This is like it's the fiery house, so it burns through reality. So it's truth, seeking higher knowledge, truth, wisdom. You know what I'm saying? This is like Goko vibes, granny vibes. You know what I'm saying? So religion, spirituality, church, all of that shit that rules the ninth house. So Sagittarius likes to be here because it can actually get to experience things. So this is opposite the third house, right? Where third house is about, oh, let's have instructions on what's and let's calculate something on how to get a specific conclusion. The ninth house is let's just experience this so we can have knowledge and wisdom, right? So, for example, like you will never know what it's like to be heartbroken unless you go through with that. So you have wisdom and knowledge on what a heartbreak is. But in the third house, someone can just tell you what a heartbreak is, but you won't really have that wisdom because you haven't gone through it yourself. So that's the ninth house. So with that, Aries rising people will experience everything that they need. That's why a lot of Aries rising people are actually really, 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 really smart people. Like they're really knowledgeable people and they're very wise people. Very wise, but a lot of people might not like that because they don't want to. Once again, they don't want to give you the satisfaction of being like, actually, you are really smart. You're a very smart person, because I don't know, they'll feel like, oh no, Aries rising person has a big ass head, so let's not do that. So anyway, with that, with Sagittarius in your ninth house, you automatically like you go through things. See, and here's the thing with the Aries rising. Aries rising people will probably, but once again, this will differ based on your sun and your moon, right? But for the most part, your ascendant. Aries rising people will like want to like they won't want to think too hard about anything. They'll just like, let's just go through it, let's just experience it, and we'll see what happens. That type of energy. They'll be like, okay, let's just see what happens, and then we'll go through it, right? So that's the whole thing. That's how they get to have that wisdom, is because they went through it. They went through those experiences, and then they accumulated all those feelings and emotions and thoughts, and then that led way to a whole bunch of other things, which, boom, that causes wisdom. So you are wise and you know what to do, what not to do, which people to talk to, what not people, which people to not talk to. You know what I'm saying? Because of the wisdom of the Sagittarius in the ninth house. And then when we get to the 10th house, your 10th house is Capricorn. The Capricorn loves being here, right? 10th house is your status, how you are seen, right? What you are known for, right? So everybody knows for being something. This is your career. Like, for example, I know Barack Obama is known for being a president, right? But his ascendant is Capricorn. You know what I'm saying? This is more so about like this is your career, right? But not so your job, because your job really is your sixth house, what you do on a day-to-day basis. But the 10th house is, okay, you've done all of this on a day-to-day basis, but now what can you show for it? So that's the thing. So Capricorn in the 10th house with your Aries rising, you like to be seen for whatever that you do, right? And you like to be the best at that shit. So you work your ass off. You work your ass off to be that. But here's the thing, right? You need to, I feel like Aries rising, they start doing that once they are heartbroken. Okay, maybe this is everybody, but like somehow because of that sixth house with the eighth house and the transformation, right? They know how to transform themselves in order to get the bag, right? So once they transform themselves, they like to be seen for whatever that they worked hard for, right? Because of the trine thing with the 10th house. So they like to be seen for whatever they hard for, and they know how to transform themselves and transform their situation and circumstances. So that they have the energy and that they have the correct format on how to go about doing whatever it is that they want to do, and then being seen for that shit. You know what I'm saying? So Aries rising people are very hard workers, very hard workers. You know what I'm saying? And then 11th house is things that you are unknown, things that you're not familiar with, you know, people, places, and things that you are not familiar with at all, right? So then once you get to know them, then you are familiar with them, you know what I'm saying? Because you've like communicated with these things. Oh shit, oh my god, that's embarrassing. That's so embarrassing. I'm so sorry. If any Virgos are watching this, they probably be like, oh my god, thank god. Thank god. Sorry. Okay, anyway, yeah. 11th house. 11th house, that's there, right? So Aquarius, if you have Aquarius in your 11th house, right? This is home. So you know, as an Aries rising, right, you already know how to network with people. So whenever you're out or out, like let's say you have a friend and you guys go to a city that you've never known, right? So you automatically kind of know how to like morph and myth and, you know, just like slide your way through a conversation in and out with people, right? Because either way, with that Aries rising, you're gonna have the finesse to do that shit, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have like the swagger to do that shit, you know? So yeah, and then with your 12th house, this video is getting long as hell. With your 12th house in Pisces, right? Subconsciously, you are a very dreamy person. You have dreams, you have an imagination. When you go to sleep, your dreams are wild as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Your dreams are crazy. So this is what makes you, like, you're very spiritual. See, fire sign ascendants are very spiritual people, because they have the water house, they have water signs in water houses, fire signs in fire houses, and you know what I'm saying? So with this Pisces in your 12th house, you're a very, very spiritual person. You're very intuitive, very creative, very like very imaginary, you know. You know, like, you have your illusions in the place where the illusions should be, which is your dream world, right? And you also kind of, you know how to connect with the subconscious or with the overall conscious of a group, right? And kind of understand, okay, this person is feeling this way, and you know, you like just automatically, even by looking at somebody, because once again, the Aries rising being a fire sign, fire burns through reality, right? So you don't even have to, an Aries rising can look at you and automatically kind of just know how you're feeling, just based on your facial expression, even just like the energy you're giving out. Because you could pretend to be happy, but just like, there's always like a specific vibration that like people emanate when they are feeling sad, even when they are happy. You know what I'm saying? So an Aries rising person can quickly pick that shit up, right? Because they have Pisces in the 12th house. But all the fire sign risings can do this, right? But it's just home in Pisces, so it's the Pisces in the 12th house is doing this in the way that it should be doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? So they can pick up on your illusions, they can pick up on other people's feelings. You know, sometimes with an Aries rising, you may think, oh shit, is this like, whoa, what the fuck? Where did this come from? Where did this emotion come from? What the fuck? Whoa, what? You know, you may be speaking to somebody, and because you're so passionate, right? You're giving all this like all this passion out, and someone like maybe like, whoa, what the fuck? This is way too much. And then you pick that up, and then you kind of like, you know, you get quiet, and then you like walk away because you felt like, oh my god, like something just sucked me in, you know what I'm saying? But that's what it was. But anyway, for the most part, that was like a quick little description. I'm gonna be doing all the rising signs, and yeah, bye. Also, I'm really sorry for this part. I'm a Virgo, so I also probably would have been staring at it for so long.